We're starting. We have critical mass.
Historic.
We live in Shelby. Okay. First of all, my name is Ken Holla. I'm a longtime resident of San Juan Bautista. No, I'm not a longtime resident. I've been here since 1986. That does not qualify me as a longtime resident of San Juan Bautista. No, it doesn't count. I was told that. I'm working with the San Juan Bautista Historical Society, and we have a project called the Digital San Juan Bautista Project. And our purpose is to digitize as many of the materials in the Lux Museum as we possibly can. And the interesting thing is that we find the more we digitize, the more we find that needs to be digitized. Basically what we have today are the collections from two individuals in San Juan over the past, since 1920. And we have these collections. These are the physical collections. These were in bags, plastic bags when we found them, and our work was to, one, scan them using a digital scanner, and then to take each one, of course I pull out an empty one, and to label them. We give them a number, an archival number, and then we take the negative and we stick it in the archival file. This is a special archival file designed to preserve negatives, and in goes the negative. This one happens to be, you can't see it, but this is the Lavanino mausoleum up in the cemetery, and this is a picture of the burial of Maria Lavanino, who was the matriarch of the Lavanino family in San Juan Bautista. This, in and of itself, is a fantastic story. So we believe that this collection was the work of a gentleman named Ben Ahern, who died in 1923. He was a Renaissance man. He worked in the pageant. He was a playwright. He was also the editor of the San Juan Mission News for a number of years. The second collection, we found these. These have been with the Historical Society for decades, predating the museum. They were with the Historical Society when it was over at the Texas Lodge. The second collection that we have is what we call the Mission News Collection. This was just donated to the Historical Society by Janet and Everett Wilson. Jan Wilson is actually Jan Lamb. Ed Lamb and Marge Lamb were the publishers and reporters for the San Juan Mission News, the 1919 copy of which we're going to open this afternoon for the first time in a long, long time. We've just started this collection. You can see that some of the photographs, these are all negatives, are actually in the archival files. And these are all numbered, as are those. And all this information goes into a database. We have a separate computer with the database. The number goes in, a brief description goes in, the photographer goes in, and any information that we can glean from the photograph itself is entered into a searchable database, which will be available, actually is available, to the community right now. So, combined, these photos start about 1925. These photos start about 1930. They run, some of them, up until 1960. What we've seen so far is that the majority of them are the late 30s and the early 40s. So this was just donated to, just gifted to the Historical Society earlier this year. We also have some even older images, which are glass negatives, and we have no idea who the photographer was. They have been identified as being part of the Mission News inventory. That's all we know about them. Of course, the Mission News, if you don't know, is the paper in town.
She has a question.
Yeah.
paper in town that ran from the late 1800s until 1969. It was the local weekly paper. But this is the type of image that we have. This is on glass. I don't know the technology behind glass images, but you can see that they're not all in great shape, and we have to do some work with them. But at the same time, we have to be educated on how to deal with a negative that has been damaged in this way.
Ken, that black one that you showed earlier, with the black on it, you can take that and make a photograph like this out of it?
We not only can, but we did. We do.
Wow.
We have somewhere between, we have 475 of these. And we have these, and I think there are another 200 or 300. And then we also have miscellaneous photographs that have been in our archives. We're getting up to 1,000 digitized photographs in the digital San Juan Bautista archive.
Ken, did you say you could see these online?
You cannot see these online.
Oh, I think so.
Someday you will be able to see these online. What you can do is go into the library and access the database and get information about these. It's a long process. Not the library, the museum.
Oh, the Love Museum, which is open
Never. By appointment.
by,
By appointment.
and who you call it?
So San Juan,
You can call Georgiana and make.
back in 15 minutes.
So how available to the public are these photos?
At this time, this is the most accessible these photos are to the public. By appointment, you can come in and you can view these in the museum, and that's the extent of the accessibility. We have had discussions about how we're going to make them more accessible, but quite frankly, there are really 4 people that are the San Juan Bautista Historical Society. 4 people. And we've done all this work. So we're challenged in terms of having resources to do work. Financially, we're also challenged. We don't have, I've expended my budget, which was half of the Historical Society's budget. I've expended my own. So we can't buy any more equipment.
Is the number posted on the door or anything?
It is posted, yeah.
If you were to go to the museum, there's a number you can call and, you know, say you're from an old family and you're here in town for a couple of days, you could possibly get an appointment.
Where's my team?
If not, we will.
Yeah, if it's not there now, we'll.
Because that would be the best way, is to have it posted on the door.
Right, it used to be, but we'll confirm it's still there.
Okay, so getting to the photographs. These are just, some of them are just absolutely amazing images, not only for their historical content, but some of them for their artistic quality. Ed Lamb in particular, who's the photographer for the second set, was really an accomplished photographer and really did some beautiful work. This is a photograph of Ben Ahern, the man that we believe shot all these, and a former editor of the San Juan Mission News. I could go on forever about where this photograph was taken, but I don't have time. But it was taken in San Juan, and that is Ben.
Was that Marriott Station?
Excuse me?
Was that Marriott Station?
No, actually, this was across the street from Marriage Station. This is now on the property that is the San Juan Inn. This is right at the intersection of the Alameda and San Juan Hollister Road. We've just stumbled across additional views of this station. It's just classic, just absolutely classic. This is the second photographer. He's the man who shot all of these images. This is Ed Lamb. I don't have the date that he died, but I know that his wife, Marge Lamb, who was a reporter for the Mission News, died in 2012, and she was preceded at death by Ed Lamb, but I don't have the date. They ran the Mission News weekly newspaper from 1938, I just found out yesterday, up until 1969. This is the press they operated to use to print the publication. It was the paper itself was located in various,
That's what I was just gonna ask you, are you taping?
no, I'm not taping.
Go ahead and push the button.
Well, I'm not set up to do it. You need to come over
All
here.
right.
Okay.
Can't get her all that way.
Assistant tip.
Various locations, we have images of the Mission News on, being located on 3rd Street in several buildings. The final location of the Mission News when it closed down in 69 was the building across from Abbey Park, the business offices across from Abbey Park. That's where the final location was. Okay, that should be all for that. Now, getting into the images. I have these grouped, first of all, these were all, everything from this collection was absolutely random. There was no organization to them whatsoever. Wow. We've kind of started categorizing them, but they were just random. This collection was in alphabetical order. Ed Lamb was very meticulous about his work, and when he took a photograph, he put it in an envelope like this, put a label on it, put it into this case in alphabetical order, so we have more information about these. What I want to start off with are some scenes from San Juan Bautista, some cityscapes. Some of these precede both Ben Ahern and Ed Lamb, but they're just beautiful photographs. This is the oldest photograph I've found of San Juan Bautista so far. This is taken from across the highway someplace. This is 1908, and we know that because on the back of the photograph it says 1908. Here's the Mission. It had the old steeple on it, the old Victorian steeple. This is now 5th Street. This is between 4th and 5th. This is actually a Fiesta. This was a precursor to the later Fiesta. There was references to polo matches here, a polo ground. Right now what's taking place here is a rodeo. These people are roping calves. And the really interesting thing, and this isn't a good photograph to do it because it's not too high resolution, but we can zoom in and we'll have some later, let's have some very high resolution photographs where we can actually look at people's faces, we can read signs, you can do things that you just can't do with a printed photograph. But these people are actually roping cows here. And I believe this is Washington Street here. This is Polk Street here, and there was open field at the time. So that's actually our worst photograph.
Ken, you mentioned that there was somewhere reference that there was a polo match or something?
Yeah, I've seen several references to the fact that there were polo matches going on. I believe that they took place in this field.
And where were those references found?
The Mission News.
Oh, okay.
I'm going through